Hello. Okay. Hi, book briefs. Waiting for. Okay. Hi, Pooja.
Hi Tejaswini.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good.
So joining us from Chennai.
No, I'm currently in Kuwait.
Okay. How are things there?
Yeah. Things are okay so far.
How's the pandemic thing going?
It's crazy here. Cases are rising. But yeah, I mean, just keep staying at home. That's about it.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's important
How's
that
the
way.
pandemic in your area?
My area, it's increasing every day. Lots of new cases. So we are
Oh.
very careful right now.
Hmm.
We are taking a lot of precautions from our end.
Okay.
Good. I think we have a couple of people here. Hi everyone. So we have Tejaswini Sundar in the call with us. So today we'll be talking about her. We'll get to know her and her book called Sangam The Awakening. I have a copy with me right here. I read the book, it was really nice. All right, let's get started. So just introduce yourself to the audience. Let's start with
All
that.
right. So my name is Tejaswini Sundar. I am the author of Sangam The Awakening. Um, More about me. I'm from Chennai, Tamil Nadu, and I was born and raised in Kuwait for 18 years. Did my undergraduate from MNIT Allahabad, and yeah, now I'm currently working as a software engineer in a company in Gurgaon. So that's about me.
So you work from Kuwait itself, or you're just there right now?
No, I work from Kuwait. It's the work from
Okay.
home situation going on right now. So
Uh-huh. Right,
yeah.
right, right. All right. So how long have you been writing? Or is this your first time you attempted to write?
No, this isn't the first time. I have done a little bit of writing from ever since I was a kid. Just random
Mm-hmm.
speeches or essays that I would write if anything interested me about anything.
Mm-hmm.
But this was the first proper full-length book that I ever wrote or ever attempted to write. So yeah, this was the
Uh-huh.
first venture into writing.
So was this like the first? So this was the first novel that you wrote. Were you writing
Yeah.
short stories before this?
No, this was the first novel that I ever wrote, the first proper full-length literature that I ever wrote.
Uh-huh. And this is not complete still, right? I mean, this is just the first book.
Yeah, this
We
is
have
the
a lot.
first book. This is the first book. I have an elaborate plan. So, I mean, this is the first installment of a series.
Yep. Wow. How many books have you planned?
Uh, I don't know if I should disclose this.
Okay, so let's keep that a secret, top secret.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely enjoyed the book.
Oh,
So
thank
that
you.
is what, yeah, in fact, you'll see it in my review as well. Uh, okay, let's move on. How has your journey been as a writer? I mean, when you talk about the first piece you ever wrote, maybe an essay, to writing this big piece of novel,
Hmm.
how has your journey been so far?
Uh, it's it's blossomed, evidently. I
Hmm.
mean, from my very first speech, which was for all of these competitions that I would go for, these elocution competitions or extempo competitions, all of that. I mean, there's like a stark difference. When it comes to writing a novel, you obviously have to, it's not just a single idea that comes to your head. There are way too many. So
Mm-hmm.
you'll have to streamline. So the entire process of streamlining through different ideas and sort of merging a few, editing a few, all of that is posed to be, quite competitive. And yeah, it's evolved my writing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, by competitive, do you mean you took part in some competitions?
Yeah, yeah, I did participate in a lot of competitions when it came to
Mm-hmm.
writing, or when it came to just speeches and stuff. I would participate in a lot of them. So yeah, I had to compete with other people. I had to better my writing. I had a lot of influences, definitely a lot of influences, not just from books, but from people as well. One of my
Mm-hmm.
main influences were my paternal grandfather. So I think I imbibed a few of his words into my book as well, his voice into my
Okay.
book. So yeah.
So, did you like sort of dedicate a character to him, or just
No, I think I dedicated the entire book to him because I was sort of using his voice. Um, yeah, since he was my first inspiration, all of his
right?
stories, all of the idols that he posed to me, both historical, mythical, anything from Indian and Western culture and history, all of that
Mm-hmm.
really, all of that was sort of a base to, my influences and my writing style. So I sort of owe this book to him. But
Okay.
yeah.
So, okay, I have one question is, so have you drawn any inspiration from any existing books or any stories? Or like a lot of people do that. They love Lord of the Rings, so they wrote a story, and because they love Lord of the Rings so much, there are elements of that book that you can see in their writing as well. So,
Yeah,
do
yeah.
you have some?
The main reason that I focused this book on Tamil Nadu is because I had read one book called Empire by Devi Yashodaran. And it was about a
Mhm.
Greek girl who was held as a prisoner in the Chola Empire. And there was a lot of
Oh,
emphasis on the Chola Empire, and there was just, I mean, it was like an eagle eye view into the entire, reign of one of the Chola kings, and it was what opened my eyes to, like, yeah, I want to write something that I could resonate with. That was one of my influences to focus my book on Tamil Nadu. Second
hmm.
was Amish Tripathi's Sita. There was one
Oh,
line
okay.
in that book that spoke about these submerged lands of, Dwaraka and Sangam Tamil lands.
Hmm.
And that idea sort of, inspired this book to be based on Tamil Nadu. So like these two were my inspirations. I'm not sure if I have imbibed any of their characters into my book, but yeah, I feel like I think there's just maybe one scene which is sort of similar to another scene which is in the Empire. So yeah.
Interesting. I haven't read Empire, so that is definitely a book I would
You
check out.
should. You
Uh,
should. It's a
mhm.
great book.
Who's the
Empire
author
by
again?
Devi Yashodaran. You should. Devi Yashodaran.
Devi Yashodhara. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll check it out. I noted it down. Uh, the other influence, Amish, well, I've read every piece of work he's written. I'm a
Yeah.
big fan of
Definitely.
Amish Tripathi myself. I love the Meluha
Same.
series. And I think by the time the fourth book comes out, I'll forget everything.
No, not for me. It's like a memory tank in here. I remember everything that's written. So
That's good. I'm very sure I'll forget. I'll have to revisit all the other three books.
yeah, that happens though. It happens.
All right. So, obviously, you got inspiration from Empire and Sita. What other kind of research did you do while writing this book? Typically, I understand that fantasy fiction, you don't do a lot of research. There's a lot of
World
creativity
building.
involved there.
Yeah.
Correct. But
No,
did you
but there
kind of do
is
any kind
some
of research
element
here?
of research that you would have to do because based on the
Mm-hmm.
era that you're writing in, even though it's fantasy fiction, you would
Mm-hmm.
have to sort of understand the era that you want to base your book in. So it would
Mm-hmm.
require you understanding the governance, the sort of monarchy, the empires that normally reigned in that region. So I had to do research on the Chola Empire, the
Right.
Cholas and the Pandyas, and their army, their ranks, the different naval positions, the army positions. All of that I had to do my research on their port cities, their capital cities, everything. So it did
That.
require research,
Mhm.
but not like to an extent where it's that you'd have to do based on a historical fiction novel.
Correct.
Yeah.
That must have been really interesting because at least it sounds very interesting to me, checking their ranks and their
Yeah.
army systems and everything.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Great. How much time did it take to write this book?
This book started in Jan of 2019, Jan mid. So it took, published this book in November. So, I mean, it did take till August of 2020 to fully finish my book.
Mm-hmm.
Like I probably had like 5 drafts. So,
That's
yeah.
good. Actually, yeah, I can see there was a lot of finish in the book.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, authors write their book fast and they try to publish it very quickly.
Yeah, it
And I'm
does
not
take
saying that's
patience.
not a, yeah, it does take patience, and it's not a bad idea to publish it quickly, but you have to always maintain that quality of writing,
Yep.
I believe.
Yes.
And
Yeah, it
I
is. I
did
mean, it's
find
not
that
about
you're
believing or something. You have to maintain the quality of the book because
true.
it gives you some, like happiness, some content, satisfaction, all of that.
Right. Okay, so I am going to ask you a question from an extension of that. Why did you decide to write at all? I mean, I'm very happy you decided to write, but why did you decide to do that?
Why did I decide to write?
Yeah,
Uh, why did I decide to write?
good.
That is,
Dif-
I mean, it's always something that's been in me. I've been very artistic ever since I was a kid. Um,
Mhm.
I feel like I express a lot more about myself and of myself. Yeah, I express a lot of myself when I write. And yeah, that's why I chose writing. It's something that I absolutely can pour my heart out in. I can fill every page. I can word out my thoughts precisely. And it doesn't take too long for me to do that. I feel writing is just it just comes naturally to me.
Okay, yeah, I understand. Do you read as well, or you
Yeah,
read less,
definitely.
write more?
No,
So, what
I
are your
do
favorite
read.
books?
Oh, my favorite books, there's a list. Okay, probably the first books that I ever read, excluding the Harry Potter series, was the Agatha Christie series, and then there was
Okay.
the J.R.R. Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, and there was the Percy Jackson series. There was the Divergent series, the Hunger Games. So I think it's clearly yeah, it's clearly streamlined into adventure, all of that, adventure and thriller, and then there was
Yep.
John
And
Grisham, all of that. It's like a lot of books.
so, yeah, I think that is where a lot of this comes from. I don't want to, I'm trying not to give any spoilers in this interview
Same.
right now. So I'll go to some other questions because otherwise I'll just open my mouth and start blabbering. Okay, what was the hardest part for you to write in this book?
Okay, great. Now this is a question that involves a spoiler.
Oh, okay.
I mean, but if you still want, I mean, it's not that much of a spoiler too, because I mean, the entire theme of the book is sort of dark, and it's
Right.
restoration of balance, which is the entire theme. So,
Mm,
I think one of the hardest parts for me to write was for one of the, I think the chieftain's wife's death, the late chieftain's wife's death.
mm-hmm.
The fact that I had to
Yeah.
write, the minute I pictured her character, that's when I knew that's when I sort of knew how she had to die. I mean, it's a very bad thing to say, and it's a very sad thing too, but yeah, she deserved that sort of a death, a very strong death. Because she's a character that was inspired by like many of the prominent women in my life. My mom, my dance teacher, there are like a lot of women that are extremely strong in my life and who've posed as inspirations to other characters in the book. So I feel like I did her death justice. I feel like I did her character justice. So yeah, that was probably
Okay.
the hardest part to write. I mean, just
Yeah,
like
I
the scene, the
understand.
setting. I hope you know who I'm talking about.
No, I do. I do. I do. I'm just. I'm trying to relate to it now.
Yeah.
So, okay. I understand. Yeah, that part was difficult to read as well. Not in
Yeah.
terms of language, but in terms of, yeah, there was a lot of emotion involved in that scene.
Hmm. It was. It was an emotionally
So,
driven scene.
yeah, yeah. Okay, fair enough. Typically, I mean, since we came to that, I read this meme somewhere that an author, he was doing research, and he asked a doctor friend of his that if I punch someone really hard in the gut,
Oh
would
yeah,
he
I
start
know.
spewing blood?
I know this. I know this.
I was like, only an author can react that way.
Exactly. Only an author. I mean, I wish I had some doctor friends too. I feel like if I punch this side, would the person die, or would the person probably succumb to being, unconscious or
Yeah.
something like that? I wish I had that sort of doctor friend, but I
The
don't.
doctor will say yes, and you'll be like, excellent.
More ways to kill.
More ways to kill.
Um,
So that thing came to my mind for some reason.
yeah.
Okay. Anyways, yeah, you spoke about Amish Tripathi Sita. You spoke about the Empire. What were the other inspirations for your story?
Um, Other inspirations, I think these were the two most prominent ones. The others was just
Hmm.
my creativity and imagination. Like I wanted to see how far my imagination would go.
Okay.
That was mostly it.
Okay. I think it was good because uh, some of the ideas, especially about the twins, was
Hmm.
really interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, all of that just sort of emphasized on balance, which was the basic
Hmm.
theme. All of that, I mean,
Okay,
the reason for twins, their contrasting powers, everything.
correct, exactly. So that is what I found very interesting. It felt like something from the X-Men series.
Really?
Uh, I don't know, maybe it was just me, but I've seen a lot of, I see a lot of X-Men. I've been seeing it a lot lately,
Yeah,
so
I
maybe
mean,
that's
so
why
do
it just came
I.
in.
I
Okay.
just never knew it was going to, I mean, I never knew it was something related to that.
It just felt like it, but I don't know. It could also be because I've been watching
Oh,
so much.
mutants and powers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
okay.
That's the source.
Hmm.
Anyhow, okay. So one more question before I let the audience ask their questions is,
Yeah.
what advice would you give to an aspiring author?
Keep writing. Don't stop.
Keep writing.
Even if you think that, what you're writing is really amateurish or something of that sort, just keep having faith, keep writing, keep reading. I mean, the only way you improve at something that you want to do is if you keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like constantly writing every day, making time for yourself, and just finding any opportunity to write about anything. It's all that you need to do to improve in your vocab and stuff. More you read, the better your vocabulary will be. The more you
True,
write,
true,
the better
true.
your writing style will be. So it's a combination
Both
of
of
both.
them.
Yeah.
Yep. In fact, a couple of people who wanted to write a novel approached me, and they said that I gave them some advice based on my best understanding. And after a while, when I followed up with them, they were like, you know what, I decided to quit. I was not able to write a good story and everything. And I think what you're saying is right. Writing, like any other skill, has to be developed over time. It's like a muscle that you have to constantly exercise to, start actually writing a good story.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's what I told them. But okay, I mean, it was their choice eventually. So
Yeah.
I guess. Okay, so let me do one thing. I'll open the floor for audience questions.
Sure.
Uh, so you guys are free to ask your questions now. Let's.
No
Okay,
cover.
while we are getting. Okay, I think I have something. So V Pooja 31, she's asking, could you show the book cover again and maybe read out 2 to 3 lines of your favorite part?
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I'd like
this
to listen to
is
that.
the book cover. It's a boy kneeling on the ground with a girl running in the background towards the boy. Few of my favorite lines is definitely has to be the poem in the very beginning. Um, but cursed is this soil his rule burst on. Oh, cursed is this soil that the throne sits on. These two are by far my favorite lines of the book. I think these are the first two lines. These are the first lines that I actually thought of when
Oh,
I wanted to write a novel. And I was just constantly thinking of that idea. So the first two lines that just popped into my head were these. And I was like, that's an interesting idea. Why don't I convert that into a book? Or convert that into a story? Let's see where it goes.
so that was your inspiration behind the story, those
Yeah.
2 lines?
Yeah, just those two lines.
Wow, very interesting.
Exactly.
Okay, I learned something new today. Uh, Another question that I have is, okay, there you go. This is a question from Booker Bong. He's saying, you said that you've always been artistic. What is the most difficult, gratifying part of your process?
Um, Finding the right beginning for a chapter. That's the most
Okay.
gratifying thing. I mean, you can have as many ideas as you want. As I
Mm-hmm.
said previously, I mean, you'll have to streamline a lot of it. You'll have to cut out some ideas that aren't relevant to the plot. So when you have the right beginning, that's the hook. That's essentially what brings a reader to, continue reading your book.
Correct.
And once you have that catchy beginning, that beginning that you want to continue reading, that's extremely satisfying. Like you look at it, you're like, wow, I did that.
So, do you realize the hook when you're rereading it, or are you able to identify the hook right there itself?
No, I'm able to identify the hook right there. I mean, because I have a perception, I have this vision that, this is what I want it to be, and this is how
Mm-hmm.
I want the scene to begin. So I have a preset scene in mind. I'm like, okay, so this is what I left behind in this chapter. How do I bring it here? And how do I continue from there?
Mm-hmm.
And so I just, it takes a very long time to get the beginning right. A very long time. You may have an entire plot set, but if the beginning is not good, you will have to redo it again. That's something I had to do
Yeah.
5 times over, so I know.
Yeah, I think it's good that you rewrote it multiple times to make sure that you're getting it right,
Hmm.
rather than, just saying, you know what, chuck it, ho jayega types. I
Yeah,
think it's a good thing that you stuck to it.
exactly.
Okay. The next question I'm getting is from bluffmaster.tanuj. How did you choose the title of the book?
Um, okay, so it's sort of a play on words. Sangam is a play on Sangam Tamil literature, and that
Okay.
happened. That emerged during the Chola rule. Like it, there were supposed to be three parts to Sangam Tamil literature, and currently we only have the last part of the Sangam Tamil literature. So since I wanted it to be based in Tamil Nadu, I took just Sangam from there, and since this is the very beginning of the book, I said the awakening because it's the awakening of power. It's the awakening of the restoration of balance.
Hmm. Okay.
So
So
it's
that
just
is
a
what the
play.
awakening means. Okay. I'm getting another question now. From your research on Tamil Sangam lands, any facts that you would have discovered and would like to share?
Um, yeah, I mean, there is during the time of the Chola rule, there was a capital city by the name Gangai Konda Cholapuram, and
Okay.
yeah, so there it's a city. It's a city. It's currently a village now. It's around the middle regions of Tamil Nadu. And the reason
Okay.
for the name being that the Chola king, one of the Chola kings, he had conquered some portions of the of lands in India up north, and it was said that since he conquered that land, that sort of was on the banks of the river Ganga. It's like he brought Ganga over to the south, and so Gangai Konda Cholapuram.
Oh,
That was the name.
interesting.
Yeah. Those are very
That's how
interesting
the
facts.
name.
It was a pretty heavy name for a city, and that was just really awe-inspiring.
That's an interesting story behind the name.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Another question that I'm getting is what was the inspiration behind character names?
Okay, so one of the twins' names is a name given to me by my maternal grandfather. So
Oh,
yeah, one of the
is it the
twins'
female
name.
twin's name?
Huh?
Is it the female twin's name?
You read the book, didn't you?
That could be the
Yeah, there's a female twin's
brother's name as
name.
well.
Brilliant. Uh, yeah, so yeah, that was a name given to me by my maternal grandfather at the time of
Mhm.
my birth. And another name, I think all of these names were inspired. Maran was a name I felt that carried more weight in terms of, stuff that he would end up doing that would have corrupted endings and stuff like that. I wanted it to be a heavy name. I wanted to resonate that energy. So Maran was a name that I gave the chief of finance. Everyone else, I just wanted it to give off Tamil vibes. So
Mhm.
I named them accordingly.
Because I feel that naming a character is at least if I try to write, which I don't generally do. If I try to write a book, I would think like, okay, what do I name this character? And I would probably end up creating a character from probably end up giving a name that is a very cliched name like a Ramesh or a Rajesh. So,
No, I didn't want to do that. I wanted it to, like I wanted it to give off the vibe of that character. That's what I wanted it to
mhm.
do.
So how did
So
you
one of the twins.
decide? Mhm. How did you
Sorry?
decide, let's say, the second twin's name?
Oh, the second twin's name. Um, I feel like, yeah, I felt like that name's gave off energy, gave off good energy. It had a very fiery feeling. And that's also a part of me that I wanted to, imbibe in that character. I wanted to portray in that character because it's a person she's also a person that's a little hot tempered. And that's also
Mm-hmm.
me. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to get those qualities in. So I thought, you know what? Why not impart my name to this character?
That is
So
very
yeah,
interesting. So, uh, that is a very interesting idea. Maybe that's a good way of naming a character. When I do that, I'll follow your advice. I'll think what I want to portray with that name. That will give me a better idea.
yeah. I feel that's a preferred way instead of giving cliched names.
Mm.
I
Agreed,
find them to
agreed,
be
agreed.
a little, eh.
Yeah, that's what even I was like. Okay, Ramesh did this, and like, eh.
Yeah.
Okay, so fair enough. I think another question that I've gotten is how do you handle writer's block?
I just move away from
Okay.
my laptop and my book.
Mm-hmm.
I just go ahead and do something, drink. I mean, back when I was in India, I used to go to the terrace and in my hand a cup of chai, just walk around a bit, listen
Okay.
to music. I mean, do something that's absolutely unrelated to the writing process. Just don't keep breaking your head over it. If it comes, it comes. That's about it.
And how
Because
many
when the
times did
minute
you
you
face a
force an
writing
idea,
block?
many times. I mean,
Many
even when I
times?
had to rewrite drafts and stuff, when I had to get the right beginning, there were times where I would freak out because I would feel like I had completely run dry of ideas. And when the minute I would step away from my laptop, that's when it would hit me. I'd be like, oh, okay, maybe this would be nice. And so I would continue distancing myself from my laptop, being like, how many more ideas are going to pop into my head? So yeah, I mean, it's all about giving your mind time. It's all about giving your imagination the time to grow. If you keep forcing it,
Agree.
it's not going to happen.
It's not gonna work out.
Yeah.
Agreed. Okay, that's good to know.
Yes.
Aspiring authors, hope you heard that. Tejaswini had some really nice advice for you. Never give up, keep writing, and if you get a writer's block, take your mind out of it. Come
Yeah.
back later. That's good. Okay, so I think we are close to our time, and I don't see any more questions. So I think my biggest takeaway from this discussion today is that you definitely have a clear vision of what you want out of your writing and what you want out of the story. And
Yes.
that is something I've seen in very few authors, even
Really?
though they have, yeah, I mean, they plan that, okay, I'll write 3 books, I'll make it a trilogy, I'll make 5 books, but they don't have a very clear,
Visions?
clear vision from day one. They eventually get there, which is also a process for them, and they do write really good books also.
Hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, like some of them, like people like you have a clear idea from day one, so you already start working on those lines in your first book itself.
Yeah, I mean, see, you eventually get an idea. It may not be in the beginning, it may be
Mhm.
sometime later. It's just that,
Correct.
I mean, that doesn't have to affect your writing style at all. Because for me, if you have a good idea and if you know what you have to do from day one, it still doesn't guarantee that, you're going to write a fantastic book or you're going to write a bestseller.
Definitely.
That's something that just completely depends on your writing style.
A bestseller is a lot has a lot of other factors in there. I
Yeah.
agree.
It's not just about, having a clear idea from day one and stuff. I mean, that's something that, you either get or you don't. I mean, the book is just an opening. It's just a window for you. That's about it.
Agreed. So, okay, I'll, continuing with that question. What do you think constitutes a good book?
Well-structured ideas,
Mhm.
fantastic beginnings, um, worthy endings,
Worthy
and
endings.
a good plotline.
I liked what you said about worthy endings. In a
Yeah,
lot of cases, you screw up the ending and it's just gone.
exactly.
You just lost
That's
the reader
that's
there.
when a lot of books just tend to go downhill. It's towards the
Yeah,
ending.
true, true, true. Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay, that was wonderful talking to you today, Tejaswini. Thanks a lot for your
Thank you.
time. I know a lot of people I have joined this today, and I'm sure they appreciated your time as well. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for
Likewise.
telling us about your story.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. This is my first ever interview.
Oh, I'm sure you're gonna have more than this.
Fingers crossed.
Of course. Awesome. Then, all right. In that case, thanks a lot, Tejaswini, for your time. We'll talk later.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And guys, do check out the book, Sangam The Awakening. Really nice book. My review will be up soon. You will be able to get all the details from that as well. Uh, awesome then. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.